First of all, it's not Hegseth derangement syndrome to say that a former Fox News host shouldn't be leading the most powerful military in the world. Secondly, Obama had an authorized use of military force over a lot of these post-9/11 airspaces. He could do these strikes.
Pakistan?
But thirdly, finally, the Coast Guard has admitted they interdicted 212 boats since 2024 with no violence, nothing happening. And basically, 1 in 4 of those boats, 25% of those boats, had no drugs on them. So I want to ask you, would you be okay striking boats if there is a 1 in 4 chance that there's no drugs on the boat, according to the Coast Guard?
We have 60,000 Americans dying a year.
Do you want to answer my question?
No, I'm going to give you some facts.
No, you should answer my question.
You said there's no danger. We have 5,000 Americans
Wait, I didn't say there's no danger.
In today's video, Adam Mockler absolutely destroys Hal Lambert on CNN's Table for 5. What makes this exchange so wild is that Hal Lambert came in ready to give the usual talking points about strength, peace through force, and whatever else they pull out when they want to justify reckless military policy. But the second Adam Mockler pressed him with an actual basic real-world question, something any serious policy thinker should be able to answer, Lambert froze completely. So let's dive in and watch how Adam Mockler shuts down Hal Lambert with one simple question on CNN's Table for 5.
I think the two main cost problems for people are housing and healthcare. Those are the two main things. And then food. You could add food as the third thing.
Food is for sure, yeah.
So the food thing can be handled in certain ways. It's a lot easier to handle the food aspect than it is the housing and the healthcare. You've got to reduce the regulations and you've got to increase supply of housing. And you don't do that by having the government come in and go, hey, here's $50,000 here and here and here and do it.
You also don't do that by taking a lot of people out of the workforce who build houses.
I agree that we need to increase the supply of housing, but everything else you listed, Trump is actively making worse. I mean, the ACA subsidies, they had a lot of chances to help people with health care. When it comes to food, beef is skyrocketing. Walking to the grocery store, everything is up, maybe save like eggs, but everything is up. Orange juice, I just read, was up 31%. And Donald Trump's tariffs are disproportionately harming low-income families.
No, they're not.
They absolutely are.
You can
Listen
say
to
it
this.
all day, they're not.
Like, lower-income families spend more of their income on consumer goods, and consumer goods are hit disproportionately by tariffs. It's super simple. It's regressive, not progressive. You can say no, they're not, but you're just denying basic econ.
You're just wrong.
This is Econ 101, dude.
I don't think he's wrong.
I'm not.
He is.
Everyone knows the difference between progressive versus
the tariffs have barely been passed through at all. Those consumer prices are not up at the goods level. They're just not.
Let me just give you as an example, a cup of coffee, okay? Coffee prices have skyrocketed because of tariffs. Regular people who go to the grocery store, they buy coffee for their homes, are paying those prices. And you know why I know that it's the tariffs? Because the Trump administration then turned around and rolled the tariffs back. The U.S. Institute of Peace is now named after Donald Trump. The irony is that the building is now largely empty after his administration essentially dismantled it by way of the Doge chainsaw. Now, it's no secret that Trump is desperate for a Nobel Peace Prize, and at least one of his friends is giving out a participation prize or perhaps a consolation prize. During the FIFA World Cup draw on Friday, Trump was handed a newly created peace trophy.
This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, John and I were discussing this, we saved millions and millions of lives. The Congo, as an example, over 10 million people killed, and it was heading for another 10 million very quickly. And it just, you know, the fact that we could do that, India, Pakistan, so many different wars that we're able to end, in some cases, a little bit before they started.
Well, brilliant on the part of FIFA, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think FIFA is smart. They know what to do to flatter Trump. They give him this thing that doesn't exist, and no one has ever gotten, no one may ever get again, and here we are.
This may be the most humiliating thing I've ever seen for the United States. Donald Trump is returning our country to a pre-constitutional order where you can give gifts and receive gifts from other countries/companies, and he gives them things in return. We can look at Qatar or a long list of countries/companies. FIFA realized that if they placate Trump's ego and give him this peace prize that he didn't get from Nobel, that he doesn't deserve for any reason, that he'll maybe do them a favor, maybe give them some specialties like locations to do FIFA tournaments in the U.S.
There's the irony of Hal lecturing anyone about economic priorities while Trump is literally cashing in vanity tributes from FIFA. It's not just embarrassing, it's exactly the kind of influence peddling the founders wrote the emoluments clause to prevent. Foreign gifts aren't harmless trinkets, they're leveraged, and Trump has a long history of responding to flattery with policy favors. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Modi's India. The pattern is consistent. They pour money into Trump businesses or praise him publicly, and Trump shifts US policy in ways that benefit them. FIFA sees that too. They're not giving him a peace trophy because he's a peacemaker. They're doing it because they know he's transactional. And the idea that Trump saved millions of lives, including imaginary peace deals in the Congo or preventing a war between India and Pakistan, completely fabricated, not exaggerated, fabricated. The Congo conflict Trump referenced wasn't ending because of him. It had already been de-escalating for years through African-led diplomacy. India and Pakistan were in one of their most volatile phases during his presidency. There's no diplomat, historian, or intelligence expert who has ever credited Trump with preventing anything in that region. What Adam and Abby are pointing out, and what Hal keeps dancing around, is that Trump's ego politics have real-world consequences. When you choose foreign policy based on who flatters you instead of who needs humanitarian aid, you get exactly what we saw during Trump's first term: delayed disaster aid for Puerto Rico, stalled wildfire support for California, back-channel deals for oil fields, and trade wars that left American farmers begging for bailout checks that still didn't cover their losses.
There's
I
different
think that
things.
part of what they want is for Trump to
to bother them while they're here.
not to interfere, because just this week the State Department announced that they're going to prioritize World Cup visas. Trump had been threatening to have ICE go to some of these World Cup games. So there are a lot of reasons that FIFA wants him off their back.
But it doesn't make any sense to me. And literally what FIFA is about, they gave him a participation trophy. If you work in sports, if you deal with sports, that is almost an insult to give someone a participation trophy. It says you're not capable, you're not really able to do the job, you really don't deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, even though you want to.
Honor of his life.
It's the greatest honor of his life. Is anybody fact-checking the millions and 10 millions of lives he saved? The reality is it's disgusting, in my opinion, to give this man a participation trophy when in fact what you want to do for FIFA is take everyone from all over the world and you want them to compete for the highest trophy in the land that has the most respect, allegedly, and you turn around and do this. And I understand why you do it, but it makes it all look like a joke. It makes it all look sad.
What do you make of the putting his name, I mean, not just renaming it in text, but literally emblazoning his name on the outside of the building of the U.S. Institute of Peace? It could be seen as a frivolous thing, but some people, even including some conservatives, have described it as a kind of, to use their phrasing, a third world kind of action where you just slap the dear leader's name on the outside of a building to make him feel better about himself.
Does anybody know what the Institute of Peace does?
No. They spend 50
nobody does.
They
I can
spend
tell you.
$50 million a year,
They
and that's what
train
you're going to
diplomats.
say.
You know what else trains diplomats? The State Department. This is a redundancy that we do not need.
Yeah, but I guess that's fine. But why is he putting his
Because it's
name
a
on
vanity
it?
project for the same reason that he got an institute. By the way, FIFA, a slightly less corrupt institution than the Nobel Committee.
Slightly less.
But
Marginally less.
But if it does nothing, why would Trump then slap his name
Because
on
it's
it?
a vanity play, and
What is
we
the
all know
vanity
it's a vanity
play?
play
What's
because
the
he likes
vanity
to see
play?
his name up on things, and it's not going to outlast his administration.
And it's a way to troll the left.
And it's a way to troll the left, and they take the bait every
I'm glad
time.
he's trolling the left while his peace deals are falling through with Israel and Gaza, while Putin is rolling him every single day, while the president of Azerbaijan and Albania are laughing at him for claiming that he did a peace deal with them. So I don't know what he's like trying to.
Well, they actually just signed a peace deal in
laughed at him
sub-Saharan
behind his
Africa in the White House this week. Listen,
Well,
I
that was
much prefer a
that was the
president
same
who's
peace
focused on
deal. That was the same
negotiating.
peace deal that they signed a few months ago. But then the war
What happened?
continued
And then they had
after
to
the peace
re-sign
deal
it
was
again.
signed.
I
and they
think
had
the
to re-sign
United
it.
States needs to be engaged in the world in an extroverted way, and engaging with conflicts in an extroverted way. And the fact that the president has incentives to do that, because they are ego-driven, I'm willing to concede, but nevertheless, they keep him engaged in the world in ways that keep America
And what
front
are
and
these?
center, and I
What
like
are
that.
these?
Carrie Champion is absolutely right about FIFA's award. FIFA isn't some apolitical charity. It's one of the most notoriously corrupt organizations in the world. The US Department of Justice indicted dozens of FIFA officials for bribery and money laundering. Multiple leaders admitted to taking foreign political favors in exchange for hosting rights and influence. The idea that FIFA suddenly created a peace trophy for Trump because of his diplomatic brilliance is laughable. What they're doing is exactly what Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, and the UAE have done. Flatter him publicly to secure regulatory and political favors. There's a reason so many authoritarian governments praise Trump, because transactional diplomacy is easiest when the leader is hypnotized by shiny objects and flattery. And the wildest part is Trump's claim that he saved 10 million lives in Congo or prevented a war between India and Pakistan. None of that happened. Zero. Not only do experts reject those claims, leaders in those countries literally mocked them. India's foreign ministry publicly said Trump's mediation claims were made up. Pakistan said they didn't know what he was talking about. Congo's peace process was negotiated by African Union leaders years before Trump took office. Even Azerbaijan and Armenia had to correct Trump because he kept claiming credit for ceasefires that immediately collapsed. Meanwhile, while he was bragging about phantom peace deals, his real record was the opposite. The US pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, and within 2 years, Iran had resumed nuclear enrichment. He vetoed bipartisan legislation to stop US support for the Saudi war in Yemen, prolonging one of the worst humanitarian crises on earth. He halted aid to Palestinians, accelerated settlement expansion, and greenlit actions that helped fuel the exact Gaza crisis unfolding today.
Welcome back. A cold case suddenly turns hot after the feds arrest a suspect in that pipe bomb mystery. For the last 5 years, no one knew who planted this device in the nation's capital the night before January 6th. And that didn't stop podcast hosts from pushing conspiracies about it, including the FBI's current deputy director.
There is a massive cover-up because the person who planted those pipe bombs, they don't want you to know who it was, because it's either a connected anti-Trump insider or this was an inside job. This was a setup. I have zero doubt.
Fast forward to now, and a dose of truth serum, it seems.
I was paid in the past, Sean, for my opinions. That's clear. And one day I'll be back in that space. But that's not what I'm paid for now. I'm paid to be your deputy director, and we base investigations on facts. The difference between us and them is, you know, we evolve. As information and new inputs come out, we can produce different outputs because that's what we believe in. We believe in facts and investigations guided by facts.
Look, it's worth noting that sources say that the suspect told them that he believes the 2020 election was stolen. That seems to be a very pertinent piece of information here.
So Kash Patel and Don Jr. and Dan Bongino are now on this conspiracy theory treadmill where one gets disproven and they jump to the next. The problem is Dan Bongino, like a bunch of other MAGA commentators, got super rich off of peddling straight lies and is now coming into the friction of actually being in a position of power. There's a chance that he goes and lies more, but think about how many lives he ruined, how many lies he told. He went on a whole few-month campaign about Vance Bolter, about all this stuff. All these lies that he's told will culminate into tricking Americans. I used to go to Trump rallies during his campaign, and I would debate with his supporters. That was my thing, debating his supporters. I'll never forget, there was this one woman with American flag face paint. I asked her who her favorite podcaster was. She said Dan Bongino. I asked her if she would vote for Putin or Kamala if she could choose. She said, I'd vote for Vladimir Putin. Kamala's a traitor to this country. So this is the effect that Dan Bongino is having when he's lying to Americans who just want to love their country. They think they love their country.
Pete Hegseth has signaled for a long time that he's wanted to change these rules of engagement. He has repeatedly downplayed the idea of war crimes, going all the way back to that case involving Eddie Gallagher and those other service members who were being investigated for war crimes. And now the administration, I would actually expect that they would own up to this, but they seem to just be changing their story about what exactly happened here and who was responsible for it, Hal.
Well, you know, the Democrats, we already know they have Trump derangement syndrome. We didn't know they had another one, which is just Hegseth derangement syndrome, because every time something they don't like happens, they come out and say he should resign, he should be fired. Look, we're taking out drug boats, right? They've done, I think, they've killed 87 people doing this. Obama did hundreds, if not thousands, of bomb attacks all around the world in different countries on land, killing civilians at the time. Now, again, he was going after named terrorists, which is what we're doing there. It's Tren de Aragua is who we're going after. They're a named terrorist group.
Is it?
Yes, those are the Venezuelan gangs.
Is it Tren de Aragua? Are you sure about that?
Those are the Venezuelan gangs that run the drugs.
I don't know how the administration hasn't said that.
But there
it's
was an
that.
outrage when Obama was doing this all over the world. Hundreds and hundreds of times.
There was outrage, as I've pointed out many times on this show. But the question is, the question that I asked you was, if they want to change the rules of engagement and make it so that these types of attacks are allowed, why not just own up to it? Why are they changing their story constantly about what happened here?
Well, I don't think that people knew exactly what had happened because they weren't there on the ground.
They've had the video for months.
President Trump wasn't there. He wasn't there when this happened.
The idea that Venezuela is suddenly a terrorist hub run by gangs is just factually wrong. The group in question, Tren de Aragua, absolutely is a criminal organization, but it's not on the US list of designated foreign terrorist organizations. The US government has never classified them as a terrorist entity. That's why legal experts are raising concerns, because the administration is behaving as if they're covered under counterterrorism authorities when legally they aren't. And then Hal tries to wrap it all back into Obama did it too, which ignores the fact that the Obama strikes were conducted under specific AUMFs targeted at named terrorist groups and were publicly reported. That's not me defending the drone war, that's just the legal difference. Pretending Tren de Aragua is Al-Qaeda doesn't magically make it true. On top of that, if the administration really believes these rules of engagement should change, Abby is right, then change them publicly. Bring it before Congress. Create a legal framework. Don't run shadow policy and hope nobody notices, because the only people who benefit from secret rules are the ones making the decisions, not the troops carrying them out. And speaking of secrecy, the broader ecosystem Hal is defending is the same one that pushed election denialism, January 6th conspiracies, bogus FBI rumors, and now pipe bomb lies. You can't separate these things. When you normalize fantasy as political analysis, eventually you get people believing Putin is more trustworthy than Kamala Harris because a podcaster told them so. At the end of the day, this debate isn't about left versus right. It's about fact versus fiction. Adam and Abby are pushing for clarity, legality, and accountability because that's what keeps people safe. Hal's spinning a defensive fog around an administration that acts first and explains later, if at all. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.